In the affluent suburbs of Nairobi, Kenya, Kofi grew up in a family that, from the outside, seemed to have everything: wealth, status, and respect. But behind closed doors, the luxury felt like a cage. Kofi's father, a powerful businessman known for his temper, had little patience for weakness. His father's moods often swung from affectionate to cold and angry over small grievances, making the atmosphere at home tense and unpredictable. Kofi's mother, Amina, a gentle and graceful woman, had learned to keep the peace by avoiding confrontation. She focused on appearances, playing her role as a supportive wife, but Kofi often sensed her silent sorrow. For Amina, the cost of her calm life was submission, a lesson Kofi vowed never to accept. As Kofi grew, he faced another challenge in his spoiled younger sister, Zuri. The center of attention, Zuri was everything her father adored: bold, unapologetic, and openly selfish. She treated others, even the staff who helped raise her, with disdain. Kofi tried to avoid confrontations with Zuri, knowing their father would always side with her, but he often found himself on the receiving end of her tantrums. One night, when Kofi tried to stand up to her after she rudely dismissed their cook, their father's reaction was swift and harsh. "Stop pretending to be the man of this house," he barked, shaming Kofi for daring to question Zuri's behavior. From that day, Kofi learned to swallow his anger, though it festered within him. As he entered his teenage years, Kofi found solace in the world of computers. What began as an interest quickly developed into a passion. He would spend hours in his room, absorbed in coding and online courses, immersing himself in technology. The digital world was orderly, logical, a stark contrast to his chaotic home life. It became his refuge, a space where he could forget the family tension, the judgmental glances, and the painful favoritism. One day, his father hosted a grand wedding for a business associate, inviting everyone who was anyone in Nairobi's high society. During the reception, Zuri found a poor boy, the son of one of the waitstaff, and began mocking him for his worn-out clothes. Kofi watched in horror as Zuri's friends joined in, laughing at the boy's embarrassment. Unable to stand by, Kofi intervened, demanding that Zuri and her friends stop. But instead of supporting Kofi, their father reprimanded him for making a scene. Humiliated, Kofi retreated, feeling utterly alone. This moment deepened his resolve to create a life away from his family's toxicity. In high school, Kofi's quiet, focused demeanor made him an enigma. Despite his reserved nature, he attracted attention, especially from girls. Zuri's friends took particular interest in him, fueling Zuri's resentment. She mocked him at home, accusing him of being too serious and boring. But Kofi paid little attention, preferring his studies and programming projects to the drama around him. One evening, Zuri hosted a gathering at their home, filling the house with laughter and loud music. Kofi, unable to focus, decided to go for a run to escape the noise. Just as he was about to leave, he nearly collided with Asha, a quiet, thoughtful girl he recognized from school and who was part of Zuri's friend circle. Asha had accidentally wandered into his room, looking for the bathroom. They exchanged an awkward glance, and Kofi noticed a vulnerability in her eyes. Apologizing, she quickly turned to leave, but Kofi, sensing she felt out of place, invited her to stay for a moment. Their conversation that evening was brief but meaningful. Asha confided that she often felt out of place among her wealthier friends, that she struggled with self-doubt and felt pressured to keep up with Zuri's high-rolling lifestyle. Kofi listened, realizing he'd found someone who understood the isolation that came with a world of privilege. That night marked the beginning of a slow, meaningful connection between them. Over the weeks, Kofi and Asha grew closer. He admired her resilience, and she found comfort in his quiet strength. Their friendship blossomed into a romance, though they kept it private. But secrets in such circles are hard to keep, and soon, Zuri discovered their relationship. Out of jealousy and spite, she taunted Asha, calling her a charity case, and claiming that Kofi would never be serious about someone from her background. Zuri's mockery triggered a storm at home. One evening, Kofi's father demanded a family meeting and confronted him about Asha. His father sneered, dismissing Asha as beneath them because of her work as a waitress. "People like her are just trying to use us," he said coldly. Kofi's anger boiled over, and in a rare act of defiance, he stood up to his father, declaring his feelings for Asha. His father was taken aback by his son's assertiveness and dismissed him, saying, "You'll understand one day." A week later, Zuri took her jealousy a step further. She falsely accused Asha of stealing their mother's jewelry, planting doubt in Asha's already fragile self-confidence. Heartbroken, Asha left, refusing to stay where she wasn't welcome. Kofi tried to reach her, but she'd withdrawn, transferring schools and disappearing from his life. It was a shattering loss, one that pushed Kofi further into his work. He poured his energy into his studies and then into his career, vowing to rise above his family's prejudices. Years passed and Kofi graduated with honors, securing a scholarship to study abroad. His time away transformed him. He built a successful IT company and, in the process, learned to distance himself emotionally from his family's toxic dynamics. When he returned to Nairobi, he saw that his family had not changed, though circumstances had. Zuri, once the star of the household, had failed academically and now worked as a waitress in one of their father's restaurants. Ironically, Kofi found himself managing the restaurant's operations, a role he accepted reluctantly but saw as a chance to mend old wounds. One evening, while grocery shopping, Kofi spotted Asha. His heart raced. He hadn't seen her in years. She looked different, confident and self-assured, but her familiar warmth was still there. She noticed him too, and their reunion was awkward at first, each unsure of the other's feelings. Despite the years, the connection was still there. Kofi invited her for coffee, and to his relief, she accepted. Their conversations over the following weeks were bittersweet. Asha had faced her own struggles, building a small business from the ground up and learning to navigate a world that often overlooked people like her. Slowly, their friendship rekindled, but Asha was wary. She remembered the pain of being judged by his family, and though she appreciated Kofi's kindness, she was determined to protect herself. In time, Kofi and Asha's relationship blossomed once more. They confronted the ghosts of their past, and Kofi shared the painful memories of his family's dysfunction. Asha listened, her understanding deepening their bond. She admired how he transformed his pain into success and found himself beyond his family's influence. Meanwhile, Zuri, humbled by her own setbacks, began to reflect on her past actions. She approached Kofi one evening, apologizing for the harm she'd caused, particularly with Asha. Though it took time, Kofi accepted her apology, recognizing that they had both been products of a troubled household. The siblings found a newfound respect for each other, and Zuri, inspired by Kofi's resilience, began pursuing her own path, working to redeem herself. Together, Kofi and Asha looked toward the future. They planned to open a technology and education center for underprivileged youth, combining their skills and values to give others the opportunities they had struggled to find. Through forgiveness, reconciliation, and shared purpose, Kofi found himself surrounded by a new kind of family, one built on trust, empathy, and love. His journey from a lonely boy to a self-made man taught him that wealth meant little without connection, and that true family could be chosen.